Hello everyone and welcome to the final game of day 1 between Vladislav Artemiev and Levon Aronian. This is game 4 and now Artemiev is in a must-win situation in order to tie the first match because Levon won the previous game, as you've seen, really a crazy one. If you haven't, do check it out. I will put a link to it in the description below. Just a really crazy 25 move game. Artemiev just well, he didn't think much of the attack and then it just happened and that was it. But here now Artemiev will get a chance with the white pieces to bounce back, and let's see what happens because this one is well, I would say just as short, but it's not, but it kind of is, but you'll see what I mean. So Artemiev with the white pieces opens with d3. We have knight to f6 and now bishop to g5. He goes for the Trompovsky attack. We have d5, knight to d2, and now c5, of course, striking in the center. We have e3 and now c captures on d4. We have e captures and the bishop to g4 now, attacking Artemiev's queen. We have knight to f3, defending while developing. We have e6 and now there is one game in the database where c3 was played, but here we have h3 and it is now already as of move 7 that we have a completely new game. So here the bishop is challenged. What do? You could go back with bishop to f5, bishop to h5, but here Levon decides to trade. We have captures, and just bishop to d6, nicely continuing development, and he's saying, I'm not really worried about this. This is nothing. So bishop to d3 and now knight to c6. We have c3 defending the d4 pawn and queen to c7 now. Levon saying I might castle kingside, but I also might castle queenside depending on what you do. So here Artemiev castled kingside and we have castles queenside by Levon. And now of course black will try to attack on the kingside, whereas Artemiev will try to attack on the queenside. So who will be faster here? It's definitely the kind of position Artemiev would want since he needs a win here, but it's well, a very doubled-edged position, as you'll see. We have rook to c1. Now, always a useful move, aligning the rook with the queen and the king that are on the same file. So Levon has to sidestep this. We have king to b8 and now b4. Now preparing a pawn storm here on the queen side. We have h6. Black does the same. So now you don't want to go bishop to h4 and allow g5 with tempo. So bishop all the way back to e3 and g5 now. g4 is coming as you have nice support for this with your knight. And now b5, attacking the knight here. Knight to a5 and now knight to d2, taking care of these squares, and later on you might play queen to a4, c4 and so on, trying to make a breakthrough here. And now Levon plays knight to c4, which is very interesting because, like I said, these are castles on opposite sides. You want to play g4, you want to bust open the position, much quicker than your opponent can do the same on the queen side. But he says, nope, there's no rush. I'm going to play knight to c4 first, trade off a pair of knights here. Or rather trade off a pair of pieces because white captures with the bishop, so bishop captures, d captures, and now queen to a4. Now preparing a very nasty trick here. He wants to push d5 and then, well, do some damage here. So rook to c8, Levon not worried about this. He just adds another defender to the pawn here, and d5 now, threatening checkmate with queen captures on a7. And now comes b6. You have to defend against this. We have d captures on e6 now, f captures, and now knight to f3. And the white's position here is not pretty. You don't have a good way of continuing the attack. You, in order to make some sort of a breakthrough on the queen side, you need to move your queen, then push the a pawn all the way, and that takes a lot of moves. So here he goes knight to f3. He wants to play knight to d4 and then bring the knight over to c6. If he can do this without damaging his position too much, then could be great for him. But Levon now doesn't miss the opportunity. He advances the pawn to g4. We have h captures, knight captures, and now knight to d4, going after this c6 square. But here, well, we've just reached the position from the thumbnail. I'm just gonna prepare this. Feel free to pause the video and try to find a crushing win here for Levon while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that there are some checkmating patterns here. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's bishop to h2 with check. It's important to bring the king to h1 first, and now only now after the king moves to h1, we are going to, well, play either queen to e5 or queen to f7. Doesn't really matter because we just want to get our queen to h5, and we can do this both via the f7 and the e5 square. So let's say queen to f7, and there's really no defense here. Whatever white does, you're going to play queen to h5, and there's no defense. There is nothing you can play here. it's completely the same whatever you play here. If you go knight to c6 check, we can even capture it, doesn't matter. And if pawn captures, queen to h5, and that's it. There's no defense. Bishop g1, bishop f4, g3, bishop anywhere just delivers checkmate. So this was in the position, but like I said, Artemiev was very low on time. He was already down to 3 minutes, and maybe Levon figured out, okay, Artemiev calculated that this doesn't work. He spent a lot of time, and it's maybe not all that simple to spot this queen maneuver that you have to bring the queen to h5. But okay, Levon played rook h to f8 instead. He brought another attacker into the game, and now knight to c6 with check. But it's okay. Levon says my king is perfectly fine on a8. We have queen captures on c4, but now the problem is the same idea doesn't work. Levon does go bishop h2 check, king h1, but now you don't have queen here. Okay, you can't play queen here because of the knight, but queen f7 loses the queen captures on g4, which was impossible as the black pawn was still on c4. But now that white captured it, it no longer works. So here Levon plays bishop to g1, now threatens queen to h2 checkmate, and he doesn't even have to look for a win here. He only needs a draw, and he's the winner of the first match. So g3 stopping checkmate, but now knight captures on e3. And you can't grab this knight, because if you do, then queen captures on g3 and checkmate is coming. If you capture the bishop, then this is checkmate, and there's not much you can do here. So instead, after knight captures on e3, queen to e4 was played, now threatening a lot of nasty discoveries here, but Levon says, nope, that simply will not do. I'm just going to capture your rook. So knight captures on f1, and I might even use this for a thumbnail. I mean, it's also a really nice one. So yeah, after knight captures on f1, we have knight to d8 check. And there are a lot of possible discoveries, but you want to make sure you do the right one. So here we have knight to d8 check, and now you can't really do all that much. You can't block because the knight and the queen covered the g7 square. So you have to play this, and now Artemiev just repeats. Knight to c6. We have king to a8. But like we said, a draw is enough for Levon to win the first match, so Artemiev has to play on. So rook captures on f1, but now just bishop captures on f2. And now if you continue past this point without going for the perpetual, you're just going to lose the game. So here Artemiev was forced to go into a perpetual. Knight d8 check, king b8, knight c6 check, king b8, knight to a5 check. Now is the same. King to b8, knight to c6 check, king to a8, and he was in this position on move 35 that Artemiev and Aronian agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here for white, at least, because he has to repeat this in order not to lose the game. Black would be very happy to get a move in, but yeah. That's the first match. We were able to cover most of the games. Well, three out of 4, and I've shown you what happened in game 1. So that's pretty much all that happened. Artemiev had an amazing chance in game 2, and he kept on pushing, but Levon somehow survived. As you've seen, you know, whenever you have, if you still have a knight, you have a chance. That's how it goes. And then, you know, in game 3, he just obliterated Artemiev, and now in game 4, Artemiev tried, but it simply wasn't enough. By creating an attack, you also allowed Black to create an attack, and it's interesting that Levon missed that beautiful sequence, but this one definitely a position to show your friends at the bar in the library, because the queen maneuver is something maybe to remember that could be used, you know, in your own games in the future. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Lance Hassan, Connor Clark, James Walker, Peter Milner, and Wolfgang Schmidt for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing with the other match of the semifinals, of the finals, or rather, the battle for the 3rd place between Magnus and Ding. Well, tomorrow we continue with the 2nd day of the finals. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your weekend.